Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be shortening a lady's dress. The dress in question is this one. Now she's only a short lady and this is like a maxi dress on her. So I'm going to be taking 6 inch off the hem. Now whenever I'm doing a job, whether it be trousers, skirts, dresses, whatever, I always look at the type of hem that it's already got on and I try and do the same type of hem that's on it. So with that one you can see it's just literally overlocked and then turned over. So that's the same type of hem that I'm going to do on it for her. So I'm going to start off by obviously measuring it. Now because it wants to be 6 inch shorter, I'm going to actually be measuring it to 6 inch from the end to where the 6 inch is. And then because that is literally, that's 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to measure the 6 inch. So I'm going to mark it at 6 and then I'm going to mark it 1/4 of an inch under that. And I'm going to keep doing this all the way around. So I'm marking it to 6, marking it to 1/4. Marking it to 6, marking it to 1/4. 6, 1/4. 6, 1/4. So when I'm marking it at the 1/4 of an inch, that's where I'm going to be cutting it, and that's my turn up point. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut the excess fabric off, and I'm going to cut it. The top one is my 6 inch, so that is where the length needs to be turned up to. So the marking underneath is the one that I'm going to be cutting to. Now if you're not confident when you're doing this, you can actually join the mark so you've got a line, but somebody that's been doing it years won't need to do that. Right, so I just need to unpick that label at this point because it's running straight down the middle of where I need to turn it up. So let me just unpick that. Put the label back in. So she's got her washing instructions and she's got a spare button that's on it. So you can see on there, I've still got the marking where it's going to be turned up to. So I'm just going to go and set my machines up in the colour cotton that I'm going to need, and then we'll carry on and get it turned up. So I've got my juke threaded up in a brown thread. Now on the seams where I've just cut it, you can see there that it's got the overlocking, but it's also got some stitching running at the side of it. It likes to excuse my nails, but I'm in the middle of decorating as well. So you can see there. So I'm going to reinforce at the bottom of every seam, and reinforcing it is basically I'm going to stitch a few stitches, reverse and then stitch again, and that's just securing it so that when that's washed and wore, it's not going to be coming undone at the seams because we've cut it down. And I'm going to go around the hem, and literally I'm going to do that on every one. Now what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go and get that label and stitch it in at this moment in time. So I'm going to stitch a bit further up, so I've come up about 3 or 4 inch, and then I'm going to stitch that label back in at that point. There we go. I'm going to thread my overlocker up, and then we'll get the bottom overlocked. Now when you're overlocking any item of clothing, you always want your neatest stitch showing. So when you're on an overlocker, your neatest stitch is on top. So when I'm sewing that, I'm going to be sewing it with the right side facing up, because the neatest stitch is going to be there. And then when it's turned over, your neatest stitch is on show. So I'm going to start overlocking this, and I'm not taking anything off it. I'm just literally running it through. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my index finger. I'm going to sit it there, so where the needle plate is, where it starts, I'm going to sit my finger there, and that's going to act as a guide to keep my fabric in place as it's running through. And then I'm just going to let the fabric just literally go through my fingers. This hand is holding the fabric up here, and that's just helping it go through as I'm sewing. So all I'm going to be doing now then, any overlocking that I've got, I'm going to tuck underneath, fold the hem over. So basically, that's how it's going to be stitched. I'm not pinning it, I'm not clipping it, I'm just running down it and stitching the hem. And always do a good back tack. So I'm just keeping folding the overlocking over and stitching that down in place. Tucking the overlocking in again, and then a good back tack. So I've just laid it on the table, and I'm basically just checking the hem, and the bit that most importantly that I'm checking is where the bottom button is. I'm just coming to the end and making sure that that is spot on. So that obviously, when it's open like this, you need to make sure that they are the same length at the bottom. So that's it, guys. That's all finished, all nice and neat, turned over, the same length all the way along. Now, anybody that's new to sewing, you're a beginner, you're new to it, you'll probably go and pin it and clip it. But an experienced sewer that's been doing it for years, there really is no need to clip or pin it at all, because you're using your overlock stitch as your gauge when you're turning it over to keep it level all the way down. And anybody that knows me, I hate working with pins. I love clips, but I hate working with pins. And it does take time when you're clipping and pinning, measuring it, doing it, and then taking them off when you're sewing. But like I said, it's just such an easy alteration, this, that you don't need to use your pins or your clips at all. So I hope you've enjoyed this little alteration with me. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and like. And if you've got any questions, leave me a comment below. So thanks for joining me, guys. Take care, everybody, and see you soon. Bye for now.